It's the same with Khabib.
Yeah.
Oh, Khabib didn't fight anybody. No, motherfucker.
Yeah.
He makes them look like they're fighting me. That's the difference.
Look what he did to Justin Gaethje. That's all you need to know. If you say Justin Gaethje's a nobody, you're crazy. You watch that Tony Ferguson fight, Justin Gaethje's a fucking animal.
He's a savage.
And he just closed that gap. And he ate a lot of leg kicks too, man. He ate a lot of leg kicks that would, I mean, I don't know how many of those you can eat from Justin.
Right.
Maybe he had like 5 or 6 more in the tank.
Right.
So you're on E. But he closed the gap and then wound up finishing with a triangle off of his back. I mean, god damn.
A serious question about this, because I went through it a couple times. So from the moment he got kicked, then he initiates the takedown. So it was a kick. He tried the first round. He did it off a head inside single. Didn't work. Second round, he tried it off a double from the outside leg kick. First round was an inside leg kick, hence the inside single. Didn't work. So then he goes to the double. It's 22 seconds from that till the finish. So 22 seconds, we're apart. 22 seconds later, you're unconscious. I mean, this is my question to you. Is that the best back take you've ever seen in MMA? Because what he does is, when Gaethje is sprawling in this contest, he's not just sprawling. He is sprawling and turning so he doesn't get pushed into the fence. He was very diligent about that in the Alvarez and the Gaethje fights. You can go back and you can watch it. So in this fight, when you see the level change that Khabib hits, you see automatically Gaethje turn, because he doesn't want to get turned that direction. But what Khabib does is, he actually scoots under him, pulls him up, and then with his head posts him over, gets the hands to plant. Well, once the hands are planted, the double is over. He doesn't care about it anymore. Now he just wants the tight waist. And from the tight waist, he's holding, his elbows aren't flared. They're tight here, right? Like he's T-Rexing inside. At that point, you have created, if you're Justin Gaethje, putting your hands, you've created a stable structure for this guy to now mount. Plus, if you want to escape to the fence to like stand, he can control the ascent. So he goes, double, turns, pushes hands to the mat, forces Gaethje down, and then with his gable grip, then keeps it there and then replaces it with the hooks, and then turns it into a fake, not a real Joe Rogan, a fake head and arm triangle attempt, just so Gaethje gets his elbows away from his body. Then he chair sits to occupy the space, then throws the leg over, and then sits back and takes mercy upon him, as we learned later from Daniel Cormier. Rather than armbar him from his mom's, I'm just going to triangle you because that's the merciful. This guy is out here taking fucking pity on his opponents. And he's doing back takes like that. He is, John Jones to me is the most accomplished fighter we've ever seen. Like the things accumulate over time. No one is as flawless as Khabib Nurmagomedov. Not even close.
I think that is the argument, right? Like, who is the GOAT? I think if you look at John Jones's early career, right? John Jones wins the title in 2011, and from then on has fought more fights as championship fights than he has other fights. So he's the most accomplished for sure. Wins the title, the earliest, youngest guy to ever win the title in the UFC. Beats Mauricio Shogun Rua, who's a legend. And then the way he dominates all these other fighters, up until you get to Alexander Gustafsson, you could make the argument that he had a similar career. You could make the argument, like if you look at what he did, John didn't lose any rounds. John was smashing people. You look what he did to Rashad Evans. Look what he did to Rampage Jackson. Look what he did to Lyoto Machida. Look what he did to everybody. Everybody he fought up until the Gustafsson fight. But the Gustafsson fight, then you have to say, well, how much slack do you give him for admittedly not training? Because it was a really close fight. He pulls it out in the championship round, even though he's out of shape, even though you talk to Greg Jackson, he didn't train for that fight. Didn't fucking train. Like, barely worked out, but definitely didn't go through a training camp. Still managed to beat one of the best guys in the division after getting taken down for the first time in his career. Then goes on a tear, right? Look at the way he beat Daniel Cormier in the first fight. Took him down. Like, who the fuck takes Daniel Cormier down, right? And then you look at him in the second fight. Even though it was ruled a no contest, we know what the fuck happened. He head kicked him and stopped him. You know, it was spectacular. You look at what John has done, then you have to take into account the things that didn't go that well. And we haven't seen those from Khabib yet. You have to take into account the fight like Thiago Santos, right? That fucker goes to a split decision. You're like, whoa, Dominic Reyes. Dominic Reyes thought he won the fight.
Right.
Real close fight. So those fights haven't happened with Khabib yet. And we don't know if they ever could. We don't know, right? Like right now, would you see flawless victory after flawless victory? You could maybe make the argument that Khabib lost 2 rounds his entire career. Maybe the second round against Justin. or
First round against Justin, you could argue.
maybe first round rather against Justin, and maybe the third round with Conor.
That's right.
That's it. Right. And either one of those didn't get cut, didn't get dropped, didn't get hurt.
Right. To never get cut and to never get dropped, I don't think folks understand what that means.
Crazy.
In a sport filled with, it's not a scientific measurement per se, right? Who gets cut the most or something, but in a sport built on unpredictability, on violence. St. Pierre went to wrestling to get away from all of that in large part, and then to never experience that, it's like. It is shocking beyond description.
Shocking.
I don't know how to explain that to folks. It's but to your point, the thing about Khabib where he falls short is that it's just an inevitability. Like your run through 29 fights is the best run I've seen through 29 fights ever. But